On this episode of We're No Damn Experts, Rebecca and Madi bring in a damn art expert via Zoom to talk about the #1 mural in Great Falls.
Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You want to get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river Thames, if you want to go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Madi.
I'm Rebecca,
and we're no damn experts.
On today's episode, we have with us a genius when it comes to creating art within our community. Someone who has actually penned art themselves somewhere in our town, and who I am going to just say is an art expert, because until I met this person, I had no idea all the things that went into making environmental art within our community. So I am stoked to welcome to the podcast Miss Joan Redeen from the Business Improvement District.
Joan, did you like that introduction?
Wow, thank you so much, but I am not feeling any pressure at all.
Well, really, Joan, there's no reason for you to feel pressured, because this would be our third time interviewing you about
this exact topic. So, listeners, one thing, and even fans of Just Great Falls, I tried this exact episode in a video base where we were outside, Joan and I, with a camera, and it was amazing. I can't tell you how awesome it was. Joan gave information, she gave history, she pointed out things on murals, and I'm like, this is going to be awesome. And Madi didn't work here then, and so I came back. I'm like, how hard could editing be? I put everything together, put in my disc, I was ready to go, and then corrupted the file, and it never saw the light of day. So now we have Madi.
So I, upon working here, learning about all this art in Great Falls, and really, you're kind of smacked with it as soon as you enter our town. What's this art? Why is this painted? What's this over here? And so upon starting my job at Great Falls, Montana Tourism, Rebecca said, you need to talk to Joan Redeen. Yes, ma'am. So I went over to Joan's office and we recorded Joan talk for about 5.5 minutes about the Underpass Mural. And I know she wanted to tell more because there is a lot to tell.
It's such a great story. So at this time, we'll just turn it over to Joan to share a little bit about the greatest of Great Falls mural, First Avenue Underpass Mural.
Thank you. So, yeah, and it's funny, you have that little insider information from those two previous interviews. You know that I have art out there, and I'm not an artist. But the Underpass Mural was a project that the Great Falls Business Improvement District took on in 2012. And actually, I say 2012, that was when we started to actually apply paint to the mural, but I was working on that project for at least 3 years prior. So folks didn't know that behind the scenes, and I can't tell you how gratifying it was to actually get out there and just take a roller and roll on that mural, because it finally was happening. The Business Improvement District, I was out there working 2 summers straight from summer of 2012 and summer of 2013. In 2012, we did the South Side. And what we did prior to actually getting paint on the wall was we went public with a call to artists, and we asked for artists in Great Falls to submit their ideas for murals. And our art selection committee is a pretty diverse committee that we utilize downtown. It involves a whole bunch of different people, and our selection committee selected high school seniors' suggestion for that South Side.
Wow.
And her vision for the mural was a cowgirl on the prairie who was throwing her rope, and I don't even know the proper terms. I'm showing my lack of cowgirl knowledge right now.
We'll get you to lasso something later in the episode.
I knew lasso would come up in there somewhere. She was trying to collect buffalo, not horses, not cows, not sheep. She was trying to collect buffalo with her lasso. And what happened with those buffalo as they ran off into the prairie was they became bubbles. And this was her vision. And so we actually then employed over the summer of 2012, 5 different artists to install the South Side mural. And what we did was we allowed each of the artists to create different buffalo that represented Great Falls in some manner. And so on that side, you'll see Charlie Russell. You'll see the Ursuline Center. You'll see the city logo. You see Malmstrom represented. You'll see a Native American teepee. You see all kinds of different representations within those buffalo. There's also a round dance on there as well.
Oh, wow.
So there's some really cool things. And then, of course, the artists got super creative, and the buffalo started to become those bubbles. And so we have what we call bubbelos on the wall.
The proper term of the bubble buffalo is
right.
buffalo.
Exactly. Don't forget it. So you'll see a bunch of the bubbelos on there as well. So that was the start of that. And that was the south side of the mural. And it was done in 2012. And the Business Improvement District employed 5 or 6 artists to do that mural.
Well, Joan, I have a few questions on the south side.
Sure.
When you put out this call to artists, how did a high school senior stumble upon this call?
So our call to artists always go public through all of the means of the press. And, so that's, I'm not exactly sure how she got it. We do actually send it out to all of the high school art teachers. So that's probably how she came to it.
And
I also send it to all the middle school art teachers every time we send a call to artists out.
We could have had middle schoolers with a vision. That would be awesome, too.
Well, you can go to the C.M. Russell Museum and see the 5th grader essays in there.
Right.
That's where you can get the younger art. But what were some other submissions for the ideas of the underpass?
Edit this out. Don't ask me that question.
Or we can
no options. There was only one brilliant idea.
That is the answer.
Okay. Has anyone ever tried to pop a bubbalo? Meaning, has anyone tried to deface it?
Oh.
So there has been some graffiti over the years. Yes, unfortunately. That's the reality with anything. Now, the beautiful thing with murals is, and that's one of the reasons we install so many of them, is that murals tend to reduce and possibly eliminate graffiti issues. But there are times where that still happens occasionally. We have some folks who think that Sharpie markers are great, and, Jill plus John looks really good on a nice mural. So they do things like that.
I wish Jill and John the best. I really do.
But you don't need to put it in a buffalo.
Right, agreed.
So
but the beautiful thing is that mural is so well sealed that we can go down and we use what we call graffiti wipes. And we just wipe it right off. Now, if by some chance someone does a little bit more damage, then again, the mural is so well sealed, we go in and we physically remove one layer of the varnish, and the graffiti comes right off with the varnish, and the paint underneath is not harmed in any way. And then we install another layer of varnish on top. And so we've protected it.
I told you she was an art expert.
Wow.
Yeah, the mural is actually protected and should, here we are in 2020. We're just short of 10 years on that mural. The lifespan of the mural is somewhere between 10 and 20 years because of the sealant that we applied. And the beautiful thing is that the paints don't even fade because of the sealant that we applied.
Do you think that the mural will last longer because it is in the underpass and maybe it doesn't have the direct lighting that other murals in our city have?
I don't know. That's a really good question. Here's the thing. I do have a very small group of folks who feel it's time to change that mural out. I'm kind of pushing back a little bit because I say, no, it's not even 10 years old yet. But, by 10 years old, they may be vocal enough that there's some big change there. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh.
It could also be the focus of a future ArtsFest, and we won't install murals on different buildings, and we allow artists to just create there, just for some change. The mural that was on there prior to this was an Eagle Scout project, and it had been on there for about 15 to 20 years. It had definitely lived its life. It had never been sealed. MDT, the Montana Department of Transportation, anytime there was graffiti, they came down and they just grabbed gray paint or khaki paint or whatever paint they had and paint a big square over the graffiti. And so that's what we were dealing with and faced with. And so it was time for a change then. I have folks now who are feeling like it's time for a change now. I remind them what it looked like prior, And they say, yes, of course, this is a huge improvement and we love this. But, I say, let's give it at least 10 years. 2022 is not that far away. And I feel in the interest of honoring the artists who were involved, we have to give it at least 10 years.
That's I think a good timeline to change out art, revive your city. But it is the historic look into Great Falls, right? And then the other side is the new Great Falls.
So yes and no. So the way that I see it, the south side is all of the areas surrounding Great Falls.
Okay.
So it's the prairies and the plains. And the north side is the history of Great Falls. So the north side actually starts up closer to Park Drive. You have the Vinegar Jones cabin. And then as you're driving down, and of course I have to talk with my hands, and I know no one will see that, but there go the hands. As you're driving down and out of downtown Great Falls, you're going to see the progression of history on the north side. So we start with the Vinegar Jones cabin. You have a historic antique train engine, whatever they call it, the big steam train, steam engine. And then you keep going through the underpass. And then we have the modern buildings. We have Davidson Building. We have the trolleys kind of in the middle in there. And then you go further down and you have current modern railroad trains. So you have the history of Great Falls on the north side, and the south side is all the surrounding areas, the plains and the prairies.
And for our listeners that don't know what the Vinegar Jones cabin is, Rebecca, do you want to tell them about this historic, the oldest cabin?
Sure, I'd love to.
I threw it right on the spot. Rebecca took an awesome picture of the Vinegar Jones cabin that we always revert back to during the holiday or Christmas time frame because it's beautiful. It was the first cabin built in Great Falls. I know it has been relocated to Gibson Park, and that wasn't its original placement.
And that's about all I know as well. About the Vinegar Jones cabin.
So I also serve on the Historic Preservation Advisory Commission. So I could tell you just a little bit. Yeah. It was downtown.
I told you we had someone worthwhile on our call today.
Well, I think that's a good thing to know.
Well, the Vinegar Jones, you've nailed it. The Vinegar Jones cabin was the first residential structure constructed in Great Falls. And it was somewhere around 4th or 5th and Park Drive, right in that vicinity. And it was relocated, I want to say in the mid-2000s, it was relocated to the Gibson Park, and the Historic Preservation Commission actually maintains it, and they do open it at times. It hasn't been open this year, but they do open it at times. It's a nice little gem to add to Gibson Park, and it's wonderful that the Historic Preservation Commission maintains that. So,
it is, and it has interpretive signage around the cabin as well, and there are windows in it, which I don't know from necessarily original to the building.
They're not energy efficient.
But you can see into the cabin of what it would look like from, when it was originally constructed to see what it was like to live there. Right. But it's amazing to me that it was only relocated not that long ago into Gibson Park. It couldn't have stayed in its original location all that time, did it, Joan?
There was some fights. Not fist fights, but I know there was some opposing sides that did not want it moved. Other ones fought to preserve it. There's some news articles I'm going to link on our show notes. So if you want to read about the drama of the Vinegar Jones cabin, which is captured in the mural of the underpass. Now, the cabin itself is gorgeous, but on the mural, it is too. But you really can't appreciate that when you're driving. So
that is correct. I encourage folks to get out and take a walk for two reasons. There is so much to see under the underpass. You need to get up close and personal, not just under the underpass. There's so much to see that you can't get just driving by. And it's a super simple walk. If you started at the Civic Center and walked down and then crossed the street on River Drive and then walked back up, it's a very simple walk and it's a nice walk. Under the underpass on the south side, we just have a prairie fence, but there's lots of hidden little animals and gems in there. And so for kids to take a walk and take a look, it's kind of fun. The stairwells on south side, the stairwell has many hidden animals in the waterfall going down the waterfall. So you'll
not
see
just fish
there, not just fish. Nope.
That was
and we did that. We actually did that on purpose. That was a gift that the artist did for the Children's Museum because the Children's Museum is right there. So she wanted to give them something. And so if you look on both the walls of the stairwell as well as the steps themselves where the waterfalls are coming down, there's lots of animals hidden in there. It's kind of neat to go digging for that. And then when you get over to the north side, the underpass there actually has our Central Avenue, and it has Gibson Park. And you'll see the swans swimming and the fountain, and you'll see lots of geese. And it's just, folks miss all that by simply driving by. And I had a conversation several years back with someone about the fact that they wanted more representation of our Native American community. And I said, please take a walk, because there's so much representation on that mural. It's really wonderful, the gifts that the artists gave to this community, and the little tiny, as we call them, Easter eggs on videos, things like that, the little tiny things that you really have to dig and take a look for. And you get down there and you're walking and your eyes are just, wow, there's a squirrel in the tree. You wouldn't have known that was there. There's a bear in the water. There's a moose. There's just all kinds of fun things to look for.
So you have so much connection to both the north and south side of the underpass mural. Is there one particular thing that just is the item that you would want people to really pay attention to, kind of the feature that you think is coolest from your perspective?
Oh, goodness, that is a really hard question. I love the representation of the trolley. Okay. Love the trolley on there. But I also love our stairwells. The stairwells are just the coolest things. On the south side with all the hidden animals in the waterfall, and then on the north side, the artist created what she called fire water. And you can see that in the water. You can see that it's flames, and it's just, so the stairwells are really, really neat to me.
Well, and I think they're also pretty understated. I know I've walked it with you on the take that didn't take. But even when you drive past it, I don't think you appreciate kind of the intricacies that are in the stairwell, because you kind of just, it blurs by with some color. But when you get to them, there's just so much detail connected to those stairs that you wouldn't expect normally when you were just driving by. So I had the distinct honor and privilege to walk the mural with Joan. Got all this great stuff on video. You guys should watch it someday if I'm ever able to recover the file.
Isn't it awesome when you get to experience something with an expert and they kind of renew their own spirit by seeing it through your eyes for the first time? And I had that at the C.M. Russell Museum. They're like, all right, let's listen. And I knew nothing. And so they're telling you more and more, and you want to share this experience. So hopefully this episode can capture that, and we can link more images of it so people do park at the Civic Center, take their walk around, and enjoy all the little hidden Easter eggs in the stairwells. And I like the buffalo. That's the coolest thing to me. Because you have the great buffalo hunt throughout the city, and then you've got the buffalo, which is its own entity.
You'll also see on the north side where the artist paid homage to the buffalo. We used to be this incredibly huge buffalo crossing with the lowest point of the Missouri River right by where the Great Falls Tribune office is and where we always have floods. That's where the buffalo would cross. And I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of buffalo at a time would cross there. And so she paid homage to them on the north side. And you'll see the buffalo are trying to cross and the train is coming in. And, you know, this was the late 1800 train. It was the old steam engine. The two collided, obviously. And so you'll see that story unfold on the mural.
What a great way to...
Yeah, just really, if you didn't know the rationale behind the north side of the mural, you would miss so much of what that story tells you. And I think that's kind of the unique thing about the mural itself is the stories it tells on both sides and how it fully encompasses Great Falls. I'm not an art expert, nor a real master art connoisseur. I'm not going to those fine, fancy art museums and trying to figure out the tonnage of the paint or whatever other light inspiration they have. It's not my thing. But when you get to have a story told about your community through painting of the people, by the people who live here,
by a high schooler,
And it's a community-wide project with more than just one artist working in collaboration to tell that story. I think it's the coolest damn thing we've ever had.
There you go, coolest damn thing. I mean, because it's not just a pretty picture, it is a story. But to get to say that our community from that young of age understands what we were and what we are, to be able to pitch this idea to Joan and say, hey, let's get some Bubalo up on this wall. I think that's awesome too. That shows how strong of a community we are, which is why a lot of our visitors return.
So, Joan, was this your first mural that you?
So it was my first mural, yes. Total between both walls is over 11,000 square feet. I marvel every now and then and wonder how I did it. By no means am I saying was I the artist installing the mural, but managing artists. So the south side was done in 2012 with the design created by a high school senior, and we employed 5 or 6 artists that summer. And then 2 of those artists came to me that fall and said, we really have a different vision for the north side. And I said, pitch it. And so they did. And that's what we have on the north side. That the art committee chose to go with that rather than doing an additional side of prairie and a cowgirl and more bubbleos. The art committee said, yeah, we like this idea. And in 2013, we employed another 5 artists. Some of them were different. We didn't employ the same ones. I want to say there's well over 4,000 hours, and it might be higher than that. I'd need to look. And those are just the artist hours. Those are not my hours. And then
but you were an artist on that mural.
I was. Are you going to make me tell that story?
Yes, I'm going to ask it, Joan. I'm like, well, I wasn't there that day.
I'm really not that proud of my art on the mural.
I think it's awesome.
Tell me.
So I was allowed, invited, heavily encouraged to paint. And I said, I'm not an artist. I'm creative, but I'm not an artist. I was given a paintbrush and white paint. So all of the clouds that you see on the mural were done by me on the north side, not the south side.
On the north side.
That is so cool.
The funny thing is I started to make shapes with them because, when you lay on the grass and you look up and you see turtles and bunnies and dinosaurs. So some of the clouds have different shapes, and people, again, are encouraged to look for those different shapes.
So she tells me I'm not much of an artist, and I can't believe you're going to make me talk about this. I'm like, I think the clouds are awesome.
They are, Joan.
So here's the piece that I am proud of that I did do. I did all the steam on the steam engine, and that I was super proud of because those are lots of big circles, and it was just fun and easy. But I felt tremendous pressure creating clouds. I don't know. I just was like, but the shading isn't right, and I don't know how to do this and that.
See, Joan is the one that picks up on all these art terms, the composition and the gradation.
Right, exactly.
So maybe me being excited about Joan's clouds and steam doesn't hold much weight, but I am very excited you did that.
Yes, so that was fun. It was a great deal of fun. I enjoyed it tremendously, and I am proud of it. Here's the thing that I'm most proud of with the whole entire process and the whole project for both years is that Great Falls has always suffered from low self-esteem. And I felt like this was a huge gift to our community to show them just some of the many things, I should say, just some of the few many things that we have to be so proud of. And so I felt it would be a boost to our self-esteem. I hoped it would be. And I am very, very proud of it. I think it really depicts a fantastic community, which we are. And we have so much to be proud of.
And I would say it was a huge boost to our self-esteem. And I don't think you win the Greatest of Great Falls Mural Award, which is voted on by community residents, if you don't have a little bit of pride and excitement over what that First Avenue Underpass mural represents for the community. So it's an award-winning mural.
And again, if listeners are only joining in on this first episode, we have a lot of murals in our community. A lot. There are probably over, Joan, help me out.
Well,
50?
I can tell you that this year we had 11 new murals installed this year alone.
This year alone, exactly. And we have one near our building that is, how tall is that building? 40 feet tall? It's
55?
55. I don't know. It's huge.
I think it's 50
entire building
feet.
is covered in a mural. And
Correct. I think that mural is 50 by 100 or 50 by 150. I forget the
my
measurements, but we
goodness.
do have the measurements. It would be really interesting, Rebecca, if you ran the best mural of Great Falls again, just to see.
Well, I think I'll brag on Joan a little bit more. She took a dream of a mural festival that I witnessed in Calgary and made it a reality 2 years ago. And we had our first ever ArtsFest Montana, where she corralled a bunch more artists, created more murals in downtown for our guests and residents to enjoy, and then brought back more artists the next year. Our headshots for Great Falls, Montana tourism team are taken in front of one of the murals, and there's just so much engagement with this environmental art, with people taking couple photos and senior pictures, and it's just a huge asset that Joan brought to life in our community, and it's a huge undertaking. Nothing that's done lightly or easily here in our community.
And thank you for bringing me that idea.
Thanks for making it a reality.
I have to say that we just had a meeting last week about ArtsFest 2021, and so the wheels are already turning, and I'm really, really excited. We have this amazing artist that we're inviting to join us, who I hope will accept and be here next year in August, because his art just makes me go, wow, every single time I look at anything he does.
Well, I'm going to submit a building for one of the new arts, and that's going to be 15 Overlook Drive.
Yep. We're gonna be looking at an interior mural, maybe.
Well, you find funding. That's outside of the BID boundaries, so it would require a different funding source. But yeah, absolutely. I will tell you that while Cameron was here, speaking of Easter eggs, I don't know that anyone will ever find the Easter egg he planted in Great Falls while he was here this August. It is an interior mural, and it's in a top secret location. So.
Well, now
but
I'm
sure
be dipping and diving into every building I can find in Great Falls, looking for
trying to find it. Right. It is an amazing mural, but this, I'm sure that Cameron or anyone else who comes with him would be so excited to do something wonderful up there.
Well, thank you, Joan, for once again telling us the Underpass Mural story for the third time.
That this time we'll actually take and be able to distribute widely. We're becoming a big deal, Joan. Our podcast is getting ranked really high, not just in Montana, but nationally. So
I like
internationally as well.
Third time is a charm.
That's it.
So please look for show notes and pictures of the Underpass Mural at www.visitgreatfallsmontana.org/podcast. There you can find We're No Damn Experts, everything we talk about on this episode, and information about the Underpass Mural, the other murals in town, and ArtsFest Montana 2021.
Now, the other fun thing is we didn't discuss traffic signal boxes. We didn't discuss trash receptacles, all which Joan has had a hand in helping create more art throughout our downtown. But like I've said before, that's for another episode. Don't think you're done with Miss Joan Redeen. She'll be back again and again to share all the things that she does for our community.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
So that was our episode on underpass art, and we look forward to seeing you walk in that underpass and seeing those Easter eggs here in Great Falls.
We're No Damn Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town. Damn, that felt good.
On the next episode of We're No Damn Experts, Rebecca and Maddie tell you all about the fun winter activities that are waiting for you in the best damn town in Montana, Great Falls. We're No Damn Experts was produced by Great Falls, Montana Tourism with original music by the best damn musician, Joel Corda.